Hi, my name is Tracy, and this is kind of my accountability video for my Chantex to quit smoking. I am on day 7, and here's my thing. I am down here, and I have one more day of the 5 milligrams, and then tomorrow I will start the 1 milligram twice a day. So, um, as of now, I haven't really experienced any major side effects with this. Um, I have had some vivid dreams, but nothing. I mean, they're not bad dreams. They're just I remember them. They're very clear. Um, I have for the last couple nights had some insomnia, which is another common symptom with Chantex, and really don't know how to go about dealing with that other than just dealing with it. I'm hoping that kind of clears up in a little bit of time. Um, Nausea is another common symptom. I haven't really experienced that yet, um, mostly because I think when I'm taking my Chantex in the morning or evening, I'm always ensuring to take it with food, um, and plenty of it because it's bad enough as it is. I take a lot of medication, so I have just incorporated the Chantex script right into when I would take my other meds. I take them night and day. Um, but I'm still smoking. I have not given myself a quit date, and I'll explain that, and then I'll tell you a little of my backstory. Um, adjust myself just a little bit. Um, I'm not quitting by choice. I'm quitting because I was told I have to. Um, about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I had I don't know what you call it, something happened to me just out of the blue. Everything was fine, and then it wasn't. My husband and I were actually in the middle of an argument, and fairly quickly, I felt my heart rate speed up, and I mean, going nuts. My head started to feel like it was swelling. Um, my throat felt like it was closing off. Um, I couldn't breathe, and my vision was going, and it happened very quickly. Um, I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought originally I was having a heart attack or something. I've never experienced anything like that. And going to the hospital, my heart rate was at 250 beats per minute. I was very fortunate because I honestly thought that I was not going to come home. Uh, that is how I felt. I was so terrified and so afraid of what was happening to me. I honestly thought I was going to die that day. Um, and you would think that would put the fear of God into people, and it did as long as I was in that situation. But they were able to get my heart rate back into rhythm. And it took some time, but they did it. And by the time I left there, I walked out, um, and pretty terrified for a few days, but back to normal. I wasn't going to let it just didn't let it phase me. In fact, I was at work the very next day. I didn't miss a beat. Um, but I continued to have these spells beyond that. In fact, I was taken out of my workshop twice by ambulance, which is humiliating and embarrassing, to have your coworkers and your bosses standing over you, and you can't, help yourself. It's just hugely embarrassing, um, with my heart. And I would go back to the hospital, and they would get my heart back in rhythm. But as soon as my heart was back in rhythm, I would just say thanks, and the doctors would want to keep me, and I would sign myself out and leave, which I know was not right, but that's what I did. I wasn't prepared to accept any of it yet. And so then, about the fourth visit to the hospital, uh, I was prepared to sign myself out against doctor's orders and leave again. And apparently, there had been a cardiologist that was on call during the time that I had been there previously and wasn't able to get down to me before that. And so he was trying to get to me but wasn't getting there on time. So he sent a message down to the staff um, telling me that if I was going to sign myself out again, to please call his office, that if I did, that he would guarantee he could get me in that day to see me. So it seemed like a fair trade to me. I didn't want to be in the hospital, so I went ahead and left and called his office, and he did. He had me in his office, got me in, I think it was 3:30, 3:15, something like that, that very same day, which is nearly unheard of through his practice. But and then there was an array of tests and very expensive tests and so on and so on. And then a lot of medication prescribed. There was talk of ablations and so on. What I think I overlooked. What I found out is that I have what's called atrial fibrillation, and I hadn't had a heart attack, um, or they also call it AFib, and so in some cases, people who have atrial fibrillation, when they're having an episode or a spell or whatever people are calling it individually, some people don't even realize that they're having it. So until it's done some kind of permanent long-term damage down the line, a lot of people don't even realize it. I don't really know how long I've had this prior to this, but when it came on this time, the first time, it was it was to the extreme. It was very bad. Um, with a heart rate of 250, I definitely was in a life-threatening state until they were able to get my heart rhythm back to normal. And luckily for me, I've been fortunate that they've been able to control my AFib for the most part with medication. This doesn't stop you from having episodes, but they're a lot less often, and the severity is usually less. So, um, and it's taken me a very long time to adjust to taking the medication. I see my cardiologist now, who I've stuck with, this particular doctor, every 6 months to a year now. And the very last time I saw him, he said to me, "I'm prescribing you Chantex, and the next time I see you, you have to be a non-smoker." Well, I have to explain too, I have some damage done to my lungs, not just from smoking, but in this particular area where I live, this is the RV capital of the world. This is what we create. Um, and many years back, I worked for a FEMA contract that was locally a company had picked up, and they were using materials that, paneling materials that were uncured, and it was formaldehyde. Um, and there was no proper ventilation. So I was breathing that in, and I ended up getting some permanent damage to my lungs from that, like many of the people that were living in these units, Mississippi and so on, had received or were experiencing. Several of the people who were building them also experienced some of the same things. I was one of those people. So my lungs are weak and damaged as it is. I'm a smoker. Um, and now I have a heart condition. And when you're AFib, um, in my case, what's happening when I have an episode is the bottom portion of my heart is going berserk, and the top portion of my heart is just shimmering, and the blood that's sitting in the top portion of my heart is just sitting there, um, having every bit of the opportunity to coagulate. And so what they're concerned about with any AFib patient, but in my case, speaking of me, is that clots will form at that point and push through and go to my brain, and I would have a stroke. So I'm at very high risk for stroke, heart disease, heart attack. It was very high risk. Some people go the form of ablation, have an ablation done. I have not had to do that. Any kind of surgery or it is. I just want nothing to do with it. They could do a pacemaker. If they're going to do that, I'd rather just stick with the medication until the medication's no longer working for me well enough, and then consider, but not now. So, so this wonderful cardiologist of mine did prescribe the Chantex, and he didn't just prescribe the Chantex. He's had it continuously coming to me every month. Well, usually you get the starter pack, I think, and then you get the following pack, and I think maybe one more if you're lucky, and you're done. I have months and months worth of Chantex sitting on my counter in my kitchen that I've just been looking at. I kept telling myself I'm not ready. This was a mental process I had to build up to, and I just wasn't getting anywhere with it. And I kept filling the script, and I'm seeing more build up, and I'm not starting. Serious procrastination. So my husband has seen how severe my episodes are when I go into AFib, and he's been very worried about that. And you have to know this is extremely out of his character. Um, he doesn't typically do these things that I'm about to tell you. I've been smoking since I've been about 15 years old. But I only smoke about a pack a day. Not that I'm not making light of anything, but I smoke about a pack a day. He smoked about 2 packs a day, and he had decided out of the blue that he was going to quit smoking with me. Now, I was a little perturbed at first because his first desire was to, have me share the Chantex that the doctor had ordered for me, and split that with him so he could quit too. And it's not, no, if you wanted to go get your own script, I realize there's a lot there, but they're not prescribed to you. So he did. He got a hold of a doctor, and he got a script of his own. And he said he was doing it for me because I was having such a hard time even getting started. And he didn't think I was going to be able to even see it through as long as he continued being a smoker. And so he went ahead of me, and about 2 weeks, and went ahead and started his script. And I was really monitoring him as he was doing them, just in awe to begin with, because it's so out of his character to do something like that. But and he really wasn't experiencing. He had a few side effects. He was getting nausea, and he was feeling lightheaded at work, and so he was having a few issues. He didn't have anything more than that. I think he did have a couple vivid dreams he spoke of, but he literally was almost effortlessly putting the cigarettes down. And he did give himself a quit date. He bought cigarettes up until a certain day, and then he said no more. And now, mind you, he's using a vape pen, and suggested that I do the same. But he wasn't even 2 weeks in, and he had not smoked any more cigarettes. Once he put his cigarettes down, he was done. He still uses his vape pen, and he's still on the Chantex, but it just seemed like he literally had no problem at all with it. I mean, it was stunning to me. I thought, okay, well, then I'm gonna give it a shot. And the reason I haven't given myself a quit date is because I haven't really wanted to quit. I like smoking. And so therefore I don't really want to quit. I'm doing it because I have to. So my hope is that I'm making the effort, that the desire will go away, and that I won't want to anymore. But it's not about not wanting to at this point. It's not about wanting to quit. It's being I just feel kind of pressed into it. So, when the time comes, maybe there'll be some change, but I don't want to take on more than I can chew. Um, so he's doing very well, and I'm on day 7, and I'm still smoking. And I don't feel any desire to quit smoking yet. Now, what I have noticed, and this is my second time trying Chantex. The first time, what I noticed about 3 weeks in or so was is that my cigarettes started tasting bad, and everything started tasting bad. I got a bad taste. Um, but I didn't want to quit so much. So what I told myself was, I can fix this. I mean, the solution is if you quit taking the pills, and your cigarettes will start tasting better. And that was literally my thought process, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, it was making my cigarettes taste bad, so I just gave up the Chantex altogether, and we can't have that. I know. So, um, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to stick with it. I literally have so much Chantex on the counter out there. I'm going to see this through. I, I'm at least going to see it through as far as my husband has seen it through, as far as, I'll take it for months, and, the script, and see where it goes. I've heard so many success stories, and it's so encouraging. I go and I watch other people's videos, day 1, day 2, day 7, day 14, almost daily, um, because it helps me. Which is the only reason that I got the nerve up to do this myself. The accountability of a video. But and not a lot of people are watching them, so I'm really hoping, and not a lot of people watch mine either. It's really here for my purpose. But if it's helpful to someone, then by all means. Um, I just, I'm kind of ashamed of my attitude. Um, I'm kind of ashamed that I've failed so many. I've tried many times to quit smoking. I'm ashamed that I've failed. That it seems so much harder for me than it does for other people. Um, and that I have these health issues, and have had losses very close to me, due to what would be, related to cigarette smoking, and yet continued smoking myself. Um, so, I realize I need to change the way I'm thinking about things. Um, but it's a process. I mean, it's a process. Um, I'm hugely encouraged by all of you that are making the same efforts and have been successful. So don't think that the videos you're making are not helpful. They are. I'm watching them every day. I'm going through the list. It's that encouragement. If they can do it, why can't I? And I'm watching my husband, who's doing very well. Um, Let me see. I think my husband is, pretty courageous of him to take this on for somebody else, because I don't believe he wanted to quit smoking either. He just decided that he needed to do this for me. Um, so I kind of want to give him some mention just for that. Um, yeah, I hope that if you do watch this, that you'll continue to encourage me, because I really need that. Um, I really believe that, and I'm hugely encouraging you as well. Um, I know it's bad. I know it's bad for me. I know it's bad for you. I know it's bad for us, and I know that I have very good cause to give it up, whether I like it or not, personally. Um, so I just need to stick with that mind frame. Um, but here I am, day 7, and I'm still smoking. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And in a few days, um, if not tomorrow, we'll see how it goes. I'll go ahead and make another video, um, and give you an update on where I'm at with that and that point. I am going to tell you that I am starting to get that bad taste in my mouth. Not a lack of a desire to smoke, because my husband just said he just didn't even have the desire to smoke anymore. He just didn't want them. I don't have the lack of desire to smoke, but they are starting to taste bad again. And that's a huge deterrent, but I'm sticking with it. I'm not going to give it up this time. If I'm going to be stupid enough to keep smoking, then I'm going to have to do it with a nasty tasting cigarette. And hopefully I'll just get beyond that. Um, it's, I'm hoping I can get to the point where I can just say, nope, I'm done. You know, it's just hard to see that for her right now. Uh, so that's it. And I'm going to go, and I wish you guys the best, and I hope you'll encourage me, and I'll keep you updated on where I'm at, and we'll do that. So it's Monday. I hope you have a great day. Bye.